Hi, in today's video you're gonna learn how to evaluate positions with a crazy imbalance of material better. Especially we're gonna have a look at positions where one side has a queen and the other side has either two rooks, rook and two pieces, rook and one piece, and some pawns. But I will give you two guidelines which will help you evaluate such positions quickly and accurately. So that's the position we are talking about, and your task is first try to evaluate the position. So try to figure out what is black actually aiming for. Are we seeking an advantage? Are we trying just to survive? And then try to come up with a move. There are basically two options. I will also show them to you before you start calculating, because it's more about the evaluation part today. So try to evaluate what I give to you, and after that I will reveal the rules, and then we try to evaluate it together. So the options I'm talking about are queen takes f1, king takes f1, saying, okay, I have two rooks for this queen. Or the other option is playing rook takes f3 when he needs to take our queen, because otherwise the queen will get out via d4 next. And after rook takes f3, rook takes a1, rook takes a3. So in this case we take the bishop and the knight. So finally we have a rook, a knight, and a bishop for the queen. So which of those two options is better and why? So take your time for this, and I will guide you through my thinking process, because this was a recent game which I played. So things had gone a bit wrong for black, and I realized that at this point. So basically I thought I'm not better anymore, I need to survive this. For example, I quickly came to the conclusion that this move, queen takes f1, king takes f1, it cannot be better for me, because the rising position is, materially speaking, equal. But the two key indicators, which I will reveal shortly, are in white's favor. And those indicators are king safety and coordination of the pieces. And that's really the two key factors when you evaluate queen versus two rooks. And this is so important because king safety can be a huge problem if the queen, the strongest piece, is attacking. And that's always a big plus for the side with the queen if the opponent's king is vulnerable. So why do I evaluate this king as vulnerable? Yeah, this f-pawn is missing, and you can easily imagine some attacks here incoming. So king safety is a big minus. So this is clearly in white's favor after this trait. And also the coordination of the pieces is not great. So black can never be better with such a coordination. Like, I'm not even developed. I can try to hang on, try to stay in the game after that. And that's actually what I did. But it's, yeah, not great. Like, a good coordination, in my opinion, would look like the knight is on d5, very stable, the pawn will be there, no weaknesses, then I have a good king, good stability, rook on the c-files. Then black could be better, but it's just not the case. So here, yeah, black is clearly worse, I would say, but maybe I can fix the coordination quickly. For example, after takes, knight c6, coordination might not be that bad if I might get my knight stabilized and maybe kick his bishop. Then coordination is just fine. But I'm just not in time, and white was better in the game, but it was not such a huge coordination problem. So some moves later, I was back in the game after queen e3, rook f6, queen e4, rook c8, and finally after a5, knight h2, my coordination was kind of okay, and after something like this, knight g4, rook back, I'm finally coordinated, putting some counter pressure against the d4 pawn. Let's have a look at the alternative. How good is this one? So this is worse for black, but not losing like instantly. Let's have a look at rook f3, which is an option which I had not seen beforehand, but when this move arose on the board, I was getting more and more interested, because here I might be better because I pick up more material. However, the key elements of evaluating such positions stays the same. So again, in this position, you might be a bit optimistic at first, but then you soon realize the two key indicators for evaluating queen versus even some material up is king safety and coordination. And basically, the coordination couldn't be worse. Like this rook on a3, what is it doing? This rook in the corner also couldn't be worse. Sometimes even the knight doesn't get out. So when you go for this, saying I'm playing even for a win, you really need to make sure that this coordination does not lead to immediate disaster. And that's what I tried to figure out. I was spending quite some time trying to make it work, but actually it doesn't work. So I decided for queen f1 and drew the game in the end. So this would have been too risky, as you need to not just count the material, but also know those factors. Coordination, king safety, it's really the most crucial ones when evaluating queen versus rook. So let's have a look at the lines. Queen b4 is of course a must. You must point out that black is poorly coordinated quickly, otherwise black will coordinate. And now the problem is that after rook a4, rook d4, there is queen e8, and this already looks like a disaster. White is not even in a hurry to pick up the knight, because black can never untangle, and white might be even playing for more here, picking up some material there. So black is in bad shape. And I also tried to make rook to a6 work, because maybe I can stabilize the rook here, some knight there, stabilize something, but it's again about the time. I'm not in time to coordinate. And after queen e7, I might be pretty close, but there's a nice tactics in the end, and my rooks are forked, and I cannot save them both, and white is clearly winning. So this is more ambitious, but it's also more risky, and when you go into it, you really need to make sure that you can at least somehow coordinate, otherwise it turns out badly. However, the key of this short session was to give you the two rules, how to evaluate queen versus rook and rook, rook and bishop, or rook, bishop and knight sometimes even, in a good way, by just having a look at king safety and coordination. And at the first glance you can immediately have a guess, because if king safety and coordination is bad, usually position is bad. So let me know, were those two rules new for you? Do you have any other guidelines to judge positions with queen versus pieces? And let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. If you like my videos, please like and subscribe. I really appreciate that. And I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.